Thanks for being patient with me and finally being able to connect with me. I appreciate it a lot. It's important to me to talk to people that deal with the dogs that I like the most. So.
Good deal. Likewise, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm honored to, I guess have a little bit of recognition. I've put some solid work in, I think, and stayed true to the direction of the breed. So
definitely
makes me happy.
And
I work with a bunch of other guys that are right there with me, but maybe not on Front Street, I want to say, as much, but we work hard together.
Cool.
We have hunts probably, I don't know, once or twice in the winter, and try to do it every other month or more in the summer,
Right.
So a group of 4 or 5 of us get together, try to throw someone new in the mix if one of the people can't make it or whatever it is, branch out, try to find people that actually have true game dogs, working dogs, however you want to put that, and then just kind of unite each other so that we can keep everything on track and no quit.
Right.
Good, a little bit of good nose here, a little bit of, I believe that baying is good, but I focus more on a dog that's silent. But I do like a dog that bays a little bit also. I don't want people to hold this against me because I've migrated, I want to say, transitioned over, but I come from the bulldog scene like a lot of people do. But I had American Pit Bull Terriers. I bred them for 15 years before I come over to the Patterdale. I've been involved with them for about 10 years, 8.5 probably to be exact, but I've always been interested in them, but I had them bigger dogs and only enough facility to, take care and work and care for the dog as it should be. So after my last pit bull that I had, Leech was his name, because that's what he was. I tracked deer with, hunted groundhogs, raccoon, did all the same things I'm doing with these Patterdales. But he dug a little bit better. Obviously, he couldn't go down a hole like Patterdale could, but yeah, I guess that's where I started from.
I guess just to follow up what you were talking about, where did your passion for dogs start?
Well, it was not even in a terrier group whatsoever, and I think where my passion started was German Shepherds. My dad had German Shepherds forever, and we would take them dogs everywhere and anywhere, and I never knew that a life other than a German Shepherd beside me. My dad raised me and my brother, and we're way out northeast of Columbus, Ohio, about an hour and 15, hour and a half. So we grew up, far in the country, and we always were running up and down the creeks catching smallmouth bass, swimming in the rivers and catching crawdads and whatever, and the German Shepherds were always there. Even when I was little, like my daughter, she just ran out. She's 6, and I remember being 6 or 8 and fishing up in a swamp pond up that way, and I just heard a sound squalling out. What is that? And I ran around the pond, and up in these lily pads and these cattails, that German Shepherd, one of our German Shepherds, had a baby deer down, which I'm going to go full circle on this story up to the Patterdales. But anyhow, it had a baby deer down, and I actually had to lay out flat and kind of go across because I was sinking, and I couldn't get all the way to the dog, and the dog and the deer were sinking also, and so I kind of went out there and based up. I remember it plain as day, and I got the German Shepherd off the deer, and so I think that right there really excited me and made me want to be around dogs, and I've always had dogs around me, so say probably just running the woods with German Shepherds. But I like the ability of being able to grab a dog by the back of the neck and get it control instead of having to scissor lock it and put it down for the damage that it done.
Right.
Patterdale perfectly capable, but of doing everything that I need to as far as hunting wise. So when I went to the Patterdale, I was able to step up the game, I want to say, because it was fair game. And so now I've stepped it up. I'm able to send dogs down holes after stuff that I've been hunting my whole life. Bigger dogs. My kids are able to enjoy them. My kids are able to run with them. They're basically the perfect dog for me, all around hunting. And if some people might argue you can't have a true hunting dog and have it versatile, to where it can be family dog, hunting dog, whatever. And I have a terrier here that a few people could contest to. That is just the all-around dog. He's hands down the best dog that I've had. As much as I feel bad about saying that about the ones I've had before that are gone, hear me talking about them. This Patterdale Terrier that I have, his name is Lilbo Cephas. He is a all-around dog, and he'll sit on the couch with my kids, or he'll go down a hole and dispatch whatever he gets at, or die trying.
Can you talk about how you heard about Patterdales and when you first came across them, and what was that deciding factor that you were going to go that direction?
Well, I say when I first come across Patterdales, I was just researching dogs because I never wanted to give that game up and transition away from hunting. And so I was like, I need something that has a little bit of brains and tenacity so that I can actually go and hunt. And what direction do I want to go in? I mean, what prey do I want to hunt? Well, I've been hunting raccoon, possum, groundhog, basically anything that moves here in Ohio within season that moves. And so I said, I had a book, and the Patterdale Terrier wasn't in there, but I had a book. It was like United States Dog Directory or something. I used to study that thing. I'm like, what dog am I going to go to? Because I had this American Pit Bull Terrier, and I knew that I didn't want the breed anymore. And just because they were kind of an anchor to me. And so I did my research, and it was a toss-up between a red heeler and a Patterdale Terrier. And I went with the Patterdale Terrier because it was more true to the game that I wanted to hunt. And I guess that's pretty much my deciding factor on why I went with that. When I did go with that decision, the first pup that I got was my red boy chocolate dog I got off Todd Fulford. I named him Leroy the Great. He come from, hope I got my paperwork right here, Bethune's Ava and Fulford's Ace. So he's a good dog, and I give $750 for him, and went about an hour and 15 minutes away from my house. She's right down there at the bottom of the hill. And so I raised that dog up for a little while, and I liked what he was and what he was becoming, and I put him on a rat at 8 weeks, and I have video of it and stuff, and he just shook that thing around, tried to swallow it, and it was kind of a task getting it away from him. And he shook it pretty good and wouldn't let go of it, and I have video of him lifting him up off the ground and stuff, and he made me pretty proud. And so he got on to, and I have a video of this, it was early spring, he got on a groundhog. He was 4.5 months. That video popped up on my Facebook not too long ago. But yeah, I have a video of him getting on a baby raccoon. Was it a baby? Yeah, it was a baby groundhog at 4.5 months, and being impressed me again. And then so I want to say around 6 months, I bought another female. Actually, yeah, about 6 months, I bought another female off of Todd Fulford, $750. Went clear down to almost West Virginia. Pretty much the best female and the best male that I've had as far as starting my own line and everything since I've found the Patterdale Terrier breed. And I want to say, I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to hurt any characters or whatever, but there was multiple kennels, named kennels, that I had gotten dogs from them. I've spent thousands of dollars. You know, the $1,500 that I had involved in that first pair was that made me happy. And then venturing out from that, I just couldn't find what I wanted. Everything kept not living up to my expectations, whether it was a baying dog. You know, it's okay to bay a little bit, but then get busy. And I just don't like a dog that only bays. And so that's basically all I found, and a little bit more frailer dog, a little bit more leggy. I personally don't really, I'm not sure. I love the Patterdale Terrier breed, and I try to stay within standard, or at least having dogs that are being bred in litters that stay within standard. I personally keep a little bit bigger dogs because I run my dogs so much, and I live in the country, and I like to have a versatile dog that I can let go and run loose. And I don't want just the smallest dog running across. I live by a pretty big pine tree farm and an apple orchard, and there's just cornfields surrounding me, and so I like to be able to let a few of my dogs run free. And if I have that 12-pound terrier that can run down in the hole, my dog, once he hits that stage of, he or she hits that stage of being ready to work, is just going to be lost. It's going to bury itself. It's going to be destroyed all the time. So I think Bo's probably 19 or 20 pounds. He's a little prick-eared dog. I don't know if I said the other breeders here in the United States, they just didn't make the cut. I don't want to say no more than that. Yeah. But I found a few other ones that did, like Jeff Bathune and Franky Bathune. And Franky, he's gone now, but he was a hell of a dog, man, and was serious about breeding dogs that worked and not just dogs that look confirmation. And I guess that's where I'm at. I like a little bit bigger dog. I'm not worried about confirmation 100%. I want just to stay true, little, capable dog that is, able to get down a hole with maybe a little bit of assistance and stuff like that. And I have a female that I bred, and I sent up to Kris Atkins. He's affiliated with J&J Kennels. I like them guys. And he's got a female up there, a little chocolate red girl that we got some plans to breed back to. And so I guess I call our group my kennel, or our group. I'd say more our group because we typically hunt here in Ohio. We're Buckeye blood Patterdale, just Buckeye blood. And we have a group of people that hunt together, and I got a little Facebook group that is only open to people that have either hunted with us or that have our bloodline, whether they work them or not. We know what it is, and it comes from game dogs. A lot of them are versatile dogs that people have got dogs off of me to kind of free range. Like I say, I let one of my dogs or my daughter's dog, and so they're kind of like, I guess they'd almost be like the red healer, you know? I mean, running free around the farm, taking care of stuff. So I bred Leroy and Jody, which I got off Todd, to try to keep this in track. Look, stop looking at it. Leroy and Jody, I bred, and out of that come a dog named Cake. reputable Noah man bred dog that created Lobo Cephas. And so he's on Fulford or Dead Games website there, and a little stout dog. He was only, I think, like 11 inches and 12 pounds. A little dog that could fly down through anything and get it done. And that's what I wanted, just the stature, the the bone density a little bit, so it could actually take a bite, because I planned on working my dogs, and I wanted them to be able to take a bite. And I seen some of the Patterdales. I had to go look at some, kennels and stuff. I passed. Maybe I offended some people, but that wasn't my attempt. I was just trying to find the terrier that I was looking for. Now, my dogs have, at least I try to breed them to where they have a little bit of meat on their legs, so if a raccoon would get it, it wouldn't just lay them open and right around the bone, like score the flesh right off the bone. And so these dogs have a little bit of meat on their legs to where they can take a bite here or there. Yeah, and that's what I wanted. Not only I like the look, so I wanted a dog with a little bit more bone density, just because I knew what I was going to be doing with the dog, and I didn't want it to suffer damage that it may not be able to recuperate from, or just end it all together. And so I went to a few places. I've looked at multiple dogs. I've spent thousands of dollars. I probably got $5,000. I've spent $5,000 on dogs, and $1,500 of that went somewhere with my breeding program. And now that I spent that, and I've bred a few dogs, I'm in affiliation with people that seen the way that my dogs work, and their dogs work the same, maybe not the same, but different and just as good in their own way, whether it is that little bit of extra intelligence or maybe that one little bay or two before it goes in for the kill. And so I try to throw all of that into the mix. I don't necessarily breed for conformation or look or anything, although I do have my own preferred, I guess, look or standard on a dog that I expect. I like a little bit of wedge head, a little bit thicker legs, something that has a little bit more wider set wedge in its jaws so that it can grab a hold and finish the prey. I look for dogs that hold on and and work a hold instead of just nip in a hind right quarter and try to get a raccoon to spin. I have a dog that is kind of dumb, and he'll work a hold. If he grabs that hold, that's what he'll work. He got into it. He's almost 8 years, still working hard. Thinking I'm turning back a little bit on working so hard, because he got caught up in a culvert with a dog named Miss Boots from J&J. Kris owns her. They were in a culvert last weekend, and Miss Boots went in, located this raccoon, and went in. And she's kind of a bay dog. She works hard. I'm not taking nothing away from her. She's broken coat, black, and she works hard. And I really, really like her. But again, I also like that smooth coat. So if I could find a female that's more smooth coat than broken hair, and I'm able to find something that has this good nose and whatever, I'll probably stay broken coat, even though we hunt together, and I really, really like Miss Boots. Anyhow, she goes into the culvert, kind of grabs a hold of the raccoon. The culvert's big enough for the raccoon to do anything it wants, but the culvert is small enough to where it constricts the dog to where it couldn't stand up fully. It's every time it would grab and try to shake, it would spin up, and Miss Boots would end up being on her back. Well, Leroy, older dog, he seen what was going on. Well, he didn't know that there was a raccoon in there. He smelled. He was looking all over the place, and I've been hunting him above ground for quite some time. He's probably 23 pounds, so he don't really like to go into holes. I can get him there. If he sees something, he's going after it. But if he don't see it and he smells it, he's basically like, it's not worth my time. So I was pointing into the culvert saying, get it, help her, you know, and he was kind of reluctant to, because he didn't get a visual on it. And even though he heard what was going on, and then I shined a light in there, and he seen what was going on, and he ran right in there. And Miss Boots had that dog by the rear end, or that raccoon by the rear end, and Leroy's running in there face first, and he's a little bit bigger, and all he could do is nip at the raccoon. They were stuck in that culvert for about an hour and a half. It ripped his right front nail off, his claw. It sliced his nose. It got his eyes, his ears. He's tore up pretty bad, but he was a little bit thicker fleshed dog like I like. I think like if a smaller dog, it might have been able to work a little bit more down in there, but I don't think it would have finished. I think the dog would have gassed out up in there. Just not had the flesh to take that damage that my dog took. He got it across the nose. He got it, multiple spots, and I took care of him. I peroxided him up, A&D ointment all over him and everything, and it was kind of late, but I washed him up pretty good. Couldn't really see what was going on. Woke up the next day, his eyes were swelled up. There was pus in his eyes. He was messed up. Luckily, I keep some antibiotics on around, and I got some red scarlet, sprayed him up on that where his wounds were, washed him up again, give him antibiotics for 2 days. Now he's just got a few crusty scabs on him and stuff. He's healing up real good now. Then the following day we went hunting. We were getting up in the morning, and Bo ran down over the hill and ended up getting a hold of a baby groundhog and brought it up, and we put a female on there. Queen Bee is a dog that I bred that is out of a guy named Brad Bruce's male that he bred from a male that he got off me, and to a female that we had got off Todd. Brad bred those dogs, and so it was DT and Sage. Got so many dogs in my head. My daughter's yelling at me. DT and Sage bred not too long ago, and created a couple of dogs I got on my yard. I got a 6-month female and her brother out here that is just too good and too much effort into to let go. I'm trying to get the female back to a guy who I had sold a dog. I got a dog off of actually Franky Bathune. His name was Chucky, out of Arkansas, Kansas. I don't know. Same state to me. I live in Ohio. Got it shipped in. Yeah, Frankie was a good guy. He ain't here with us anymore. Sold that dog to a guy in Maryland. I brought it up here just to kind of get fresh blood. The dog was really barky, and he was just a little maybe sketchy acting to me when I try to feed him and stuff. He'd like curl up. He's maybe a year and a half. He'd kind of curl up, not like he was scared of me or anything, but he'd curl up kind of like like a wolf would, kind of like bowing down to me but ready to nip me. And if I get too close to him, he'd do that type of stuff at me. He'd like turn all weird sideways and nip at me and stuff, and I just didn't want that around my kids, so I got rid of him. I bred him to a female that come out of our stuff, Buckeye blood stuff, and went up to so a male went up to a double-bred male that we had went up to a lady, Tiffany Elly, and she honored me on selling the dog to her. She bred back with her dog, and I got a pup back out of that. I named her Witchy Woman. She's a pretty good dog. We ain't really worked her. She's more of a brood bitch. Mm-hmm. I don't like to say that because she's not going to stay here because she's not a worker. Mm-hmm. She is a brood bitch and very easy to manage. She's worked a few things enough to prove herself, but she's not a dog that I really want to get out there, working on the regular. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have my dogs. I feel like I can manage about 5 dogs. That's what I have right now. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm working, but I don't plan on keeping all those. I want to try to get them out. I have a passion for the breed, and I have Leroy the Great is his name, my first male I ever had, almost 8 years. So we're just out here in the country on a hillside with some Patterdales. Right. running all over the place. I don't know, Bo's my Patterdale that thinks he's a blue heeler, or a red heeler, kind of running around here doing the farm thing,
Right.
And it's great, and everybody likes him. And these hunters come in from out of state and stuff, and made some pretty decent friends through these dogs. Like everybody I hang out with is ways away. Anybody that's got some common interest like this,
right?
Can
you talk about what your yard looks like and how you like to house your dogs?
Yeah, I have 2.5 acres. The top half of my property's flat. I pull into my driveway, maybe 75 yards at the back side of my property. I got a shed set up, and I got 2 8x12 cages set up on each side of that, with a roof coming down off onto half of that cage, with an insulated doghouse sitting down inside of with the opening facing towards the shed. And I have they're aluminum insulated. I have little insulated inserts, or aluminum inserts that I can put into the box where I run a heating pad up underneath if the winters get real bad or it's too awful bad there. I can plug them in and get heat generated from there, and they stay pretty cozy inside there. Then I have 2 6x6 cages. All my cages have tops on them. I got 2 6x6 cages for the first cages I described. I basically can double up some dogs in there. And I got 2 6x6 cages that I try to keep single dogs, but right now I got 2 pups and a male in there. That's where I've been keeping Bo when I've been gone. But yeah, I keep those. It'll suit 3 dogs, but one's like more than comfortable in there. So I have the 6x6 cages with some igloo houses, sitting up on some like concrete slabs. And that's basically how I keep them. I have 4 tie outs. I basically I got 1, 2, 3, 4 pine trees, and I just throw a 20 or double up and make 40-foot chains on there where they can run, and quite a big circle around there. And then I have the 2.5 acres where I have paths down through there. I have a quad, and I'll drag a fence down through there, and between dragging the fence and running the quad, I got like multiple, it's like a maze down through there. And I guess it looks a big 2.5 acres because it's plateau at the top where my home is, a hill back down to plateau, and then a creek, and then a huge hill on the other side of the road with a pine tree farm, and then on the other side is just corn and apple orchard. But I'll drag stuff. If we get something, I'm training pups, I'll drag it down through the maze and then hide it and stash it in a different area or whatever, and I train the dogs down through there, try to keep their noses alert from a young age, like show them something, get them enticed on something a little bit to where they want it, but they can't quite have it, and then make them track it down and then give it to them, something that maybe a bigger dog or a seasoned dog had already, been on. And I didn't want the, 8-week, 12-week-old dog to get hurt by, but I wanted it to know that scent. I track deer also. I really like to do that, and I say that was the start of my main focus on Patterdales. I just wanted to be able to let some dogs go. Now, you can't hunt deer with Patterdale or dogs here in Ohio, but you can track deer. So as long as you don't have your weapon and you're like just trying to locate your deer, you can do that.
What do you feed your dogs? What does their diet consist of?
Oh, I fed Diamond Puppy to every one of my dogs for the longest time. Longest time, and I love Diamond Puppy. It's 31% protein, 31% protein, 20% fat. So to keep a little bit of weight on the dog, but if you're running them, it gives them the energy. It's got basically everything you need into it. Fed them that for years, and that keeps the dogs just a little bit heavier muscled. Seems to make them a little vascular and stuff too. I think it's an excellent food. I've tried different foods, but nothing really made their coat shine and give them the energy, and minimized on, I guess, poop. And then my cousin got a lot of family into hunting, trying to get some of them on board on the Patterdales, but they basically hunt a lot of blue ticks, and he's got a hookup on Rachel Ray's dog food. So I feed them Rachel Ray's Nutrish right now because I'm getting it for 50 cents a pound. I can't beat it, and the dogs are staying built up pretty good. I'd say they're built up just as good, but a little bit more lean because there ain't as much fat. And their coats are shining. They seem to be doing real well off of Rachel Ray's.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, doing pretty darn good. It's got peas and carrots and real roasted chicken and all kinds of stuff in it. That's good.
Can you
instead of just a bone meal or something,
Right. Definitely. Can you talk about what the history of the Patterdale? Because I know there's different schools of thought. What do you know about the history, and where do you think it comes from?
Well, I've tried to study up a little bit and know what I'm talking about a little bit. I ain't went into it too much, but if in case someone asked me this question, I wanted to be able to answer it, even long before you and I started talking or whatever. So they're from England, and they've been around for a whole long time. Like the black dog, the fell terrier, dogs like that run the hills of England, and multiple breeders basically found terriers that actually worked instead of just bayed. And so they would run the hills together, kind of like me and my friends are. If this was earlier in the ages or whatever, we'd be maybe some of the people that were recognized to start to breed. But there was a guy named Joe Bowman, I guess, that kind of legitimized the breed. It's Lake District of England and the United Kingdom. That's where they come from, and I guess a lot of people like to hunt fox and badger and stuff like that over there. I guess a little bit different prey over there. We got fox, but not maybe as abundant. We don't have badger, but not here in Ohio anyhow. So guess that's where the breed come from, and basically bred to go down into holes and either flush for like a staghound or something like that, a bigger dog, or to be shot. But I think that hunting has been outlawed over there, so all the, I mean, maybe not everywhere, but I think a lot of the places you either have to apply for permits instead of just going out and saying, hey, I'm not a felon, I'm buying my license, I'm going hunting.
Right.
You know, I think it's a little bit more select over there, which is, no offense to them guys over the pond, but I think diluting the breed a little bit on some standards, you know, as far as like, you know, there's so many people that I'm trying to just, I guess, march by my own beat or something and just enjoy myself.
Right.
And I appreciate the recognition and everything like that, I really do. But I'm kind of a guy that's like to go off the radar a little bit. Like, even when I breed some litters and stuff, there's a lady named Tiffany Elly that I'm like, will you please handle this?
Right.
And I just don't want to be, and people might think that I'm rude a little bit. Just, I don't want to
Keep you away from me.
I guess, say, oh, my dogs are this, my dogs are that. You know, these people's dogs are that. I just would rather the dogs talk for themselves.
Right.
And so now I guess I'm affiliated with enough people to where the dogs that we breed are going without having to really advertise.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to keep it on that level. Like, some people are selling their dogs, and that's fine. Yeah, I paid $750 for mine. And I'm not saying they weren't worth it. They were worth every penny of it and then some, to get what I actually wanted, and from experience of buying stuff that I didn't want, they were definitely worth it. But I'm more along the lines of just hunting and keeping hunting people together. I feel like sometimes if you take a little bit less, and I think the Patterdale Terrier is kind of set off to the side in its own group. Like, you know, you can have a pocket bully that is worth $3,000 to get into the bloodline, but then you're just breeding for confirmation, and there's actually nothing other that the dog has to do other than look a certain way. And I think, like, when you charge a little bit less for your dog and you're more, I guess, just affiliated with people that actually truly work the dog, then the dog, you're doing the breed justice, instead of just going, oh yeah, I got my dog for sale for $1,000 or $1,500, and then it just goes to the highest bidder, which might not be the best hunter or the best lineup for the future of the breed. And I'm here more to maybe not make a name for myself. I mean, who don't like to get recognized for their work, you know, but at the same time, I'm more here for the breed because I have a love for that gameness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just something that I feel like is integrated into me. Like, I grew up with my brother, older brother, and my dad, and, you know, raised us, and we were just busy all the time. We come from competitive stuff. We baseball, football, wrestling, track. I've boxed, done MMA, jiu-jitsu competitions. You know, it was just like our life was surrounded by that. And so I think maybe, you know, I'm just like a proud dad to these dogs. And since I kind of grew up like that, I don't really want my kids to be subject to, you got to compete, you know, like this is Sparta, you know, type stuff. So I kind of get my bloodlust from the Patterdales,
right,
you know.
Right. Where do you register your dogs, and why do you like to use that? Go ahead.
Patterdale Club of America, PTCA,
Mm-hmm.
but we are going to, a group of us, the Buckeye Blood, we're talking about migrating over to the ADPA.
Okay.
PTCA, single registration, you register your dog, doesn't matter how many dogs were born in that litter. I don't believe that it, you know, there's no, like, confirmation to where, like, Okay, if you're going to register your dogs, then we need to know how many dogs were in there. Okay, 6. Let's register the whole litter. And then you have that. It's more of like, hey, this dog was bred from this and that. You get to register it or you don't. Mm-hmm. So there might be 6 dogs in the registry, that were born, but only 1 or 2 of them or none of them registered from that breed. And you kind of lose track there a little bit. I'm not the best at paperwork. Again, I let Tiffany, and I'm good now. I write everything down in books, but I have never really focused more on the paperwork. Like, I got what I wanted. I knew it worked, and I was happy with that. And I feel like a lot of people that breed strictly, for working dogs aren't really concerned about the paperwork. So then some people kind of let it slack, And so, therefore, with the Patterdale Club of America, maybe it hurts a little bit since the whole litter isn't registered. But with the ADVA, as far as I'm aware, they do register a whole litter, so it kind of keeps more track of it and maybe presses you towards just going ahead and getting your dogs registered.
Right.
I understand people like to have registered dogs. I wanted registered dogs. I wouldn't have got a dog if it wasn't registered, because I want to know that my bloodline was legit. Like, is it a Patterdale? Mm-hmm. Because some people may crossbreed. Also, another thing, like the Fell Terrier, Black Dog, Patterdale, Terrier, I think they're all kind of one and the same, and the Patterdale Terrier had maybe just got like a confirmation put on it, mm-hmm. type, to make it a breed instead of just a hunting dog, right. And which is a great thing, and I guess it could be a horrible thing too, as far as diluting and people wanting dogs that are like name brand dogs.
Mm-hmm. What other breeds interest you right now? What could you see yourself owning besides a Patterdale?
Again, I think I kind of just go with what I think is good, and whatever kind of pleases me and works for me. And when I say works for me, I mean like will actually do work, mm-hmm. for me. So I have no interest in any dog that is just strictly a pet. I treat my dogs as pets. I treat them like family, but I want them to work also. So I have always been interested in kind of like a bull terrier dog, but not quite the terrier or the bulldog or anything. And I think like one of the only dogs that really stand out kind of into the bully area that is not come from some type of bulldog is the Rottweiler. Mm-hmm. And I like a low stance German Rottweiler. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking about, I would never breed outside of the Patterdale to Patterdale. As far as the female, I like to keep my bloodline true. I only cross out so that I can cross back in. So I always try to out my line with a fresh game, outcross, and then jump right back in. So I keep my bloodline. We keep our bloodline pretty tight here, our Buckeye blood. But the Rottweiler, the true Slovakian or whatever you want to say, Ukrainian Rottweiler, the German Rot, with the big blocky head and the kind of that stature. I like that, and I thought I would like to start hunting some hogs here before too long, and I know that my Patterdales will hunt hogs, but what will they do once they get a hog? They'll just flip around on it and not do nothing other than catch it, maybe get beat up or flung around. I know that they're perfectly capable, and it's awesome. I love their little heart, or the big heart, and their little body, but I want something that can maybe grab a hold of a dog or a hog and do some damage and down it, or at least slow it down to where you can get a shot on it. I like hunting, and I don't really like using, when it comes to the Patterdales or hunting the dogs, I figure that the dog is my weapon, so I don't want any other weapon other than like primitive. So I would like to get a Rottweiler and go hunt some hogs and maybe just have like a spear, a big knife or something like that, a net, whatever. But I want to cross the Patterdale with a German Rot if I can. That's been one of my interests. I'm thinking about getting a big old female German Rot just to kind of I'll always be into the Patterdales. I'll have them for as long as I'm able. But I want to maybe cross the Patterdale into the German Rot and create my own breed so I can hunt just a little bit bigger game. I'm somewhere between. Okay, another dog that has stood out to me. It's called a Decker Terrier, and they look like basically like an enlarged, like a giant rat terrier, like a rat terrier that's just, or like a fox terrier that's just been like beefed up, And I like those, and I thought like I already have the Patterdale. Into the German Rot would be great, so I already have that set of the line. I don't really like to, maybe. I like to venture out, like we're talking,
right.
But to venture out too far off of what is doing the job for you is kind of a scary situation, because then you just lose time and investment into other dogs that do work for you, and do what suit your needs.
Yeah.
But the Decker Terrier and the German Rot would be a pretty neat cross, but I don't really know. I like the way what I read on the Decker Terrier, but I've never seen any in person, and I know it's kind of maybe a rare breed and maybe kind of a cross itself, but they're a pretty neat breed if you check them out.
Yeah,
that into a German Rot would keep a little bit more of the size. That you may have like a huge variation in size between what you get off a Patterdale Terrier and a German Rot versus what you get off of a Decker Terrier and a German Rot, if you're breeding for size.
Right.
I'm mentally and physically capable dogs, enough athleticism to get it done.
Right.
Because I find like I don't want to knock on some of these Patterdales as far as I have, as far as like I'm saying, I like a little bit thicker dog and this and that. It's got to have a gas tank on it to finish the job. So, if it gets too thick, I just feel like it can't. And I don't want to sacrifice something that is not able to get down a hole. I want it to be able to get down a hole. Even though I breed a little bit bigger, I want it to be able to, work a hole if need be. And so, therefore, sometimes like this double Noah man dog, he's thick, he's everything I was talking about, but he's small also. So the lankier dogs, I don't want to knock them because their gas tank goes for days. But as far as their finishing capability, sometimes I just feel like they lack it. And what does it matter? If you don't have the full recipe.
Right.
I don't know.
No.
They're a wonderful breed for sure. I was tickled migrating the way I did, and now that I'm watching my dog that works so hard in every direction, whether it's for actually keeping the neighboring properties and my property free of varmints, and protecting the livestock, or playing in the yard with my 6-year-old and not really having to worry about that possible, he's so huge I can't take my eyes off of them, There's never a sign of aggression or anything at all towards the kids, only love, and then he went from my daughter throwing grass up in the airplane with him to catching something in the wind, and he's sniffing out something up in the edge of this tree line up here by the pine trees, and she's kind of following him, so I'm staying close in case there's something down in there. He'll just catch a mouse or a mole. He'll dig these little mole holes up and pounce on them and grab them, shake them right out of there. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's all. Thanks for being patient with me and finally